Hello everybody, my name is Manu S and welcome to another Eternal News video series. Today we have a pretty big batch of spoilers to discuss, so let's dive right in. A couple of cards that I've forgot the last time that were already known are cards like Blood Call Invocation. I think the card's actually pretty decent. Like if there is a deck that has enough good, like reasonable sized health gain, life gain, then this can actually be pretty decent, because getting, say, a 3/3 or bigger for 2 power can be really nice, especially with like even bigger stuff that, say, gains you like 5 health, and then you play this for 2, and then you basically get the regular card for its regular price, say 7 power lumen defender and a 2 power 5/5, which is pretty nice, especially since the 5/5 is multi-faction, so also doesn't die to annihilate, and so on. I'm not sure like if the card is going to be constructed playable or not. That depends a lot on the context, but I think 2 power is like a nice cost for this to potentially be good enough to see play. We'll have to see about that. Next we have Beckoning Lumen. That's a pretty nice one actually. 6/4 is pretty decent for 5. The 4 health is as usual a bit problematic because it dies to stuff like Auric Runehammer without any enhancements, and doesn't block that well, because other units in that cost size 4 or 5 drops usually are able to trade with a 4 health unit. But we get a nice life force ability. It basically, every turn that you gained health, you draw a card at the end of your turn. So this basically lets you draw a second card per turn if you can constantly gain health. This is going to be particularly good with cards like Sanctuary Priest. I kind of expect Sanctuary Priest to be a staple in life force decks going forward. If there is enough good life force stuff to build a deck around it, Sanctuary Priest is probably going to be a cornerstone of it and going to work really well with this. Basically sort of turning this into a cheaper, faster Mystic Ascendant together with the Sanctuary Priest, while also gaining some life and synergizing with other stuff. But yeah, the card overall seems pretty decent. We'll see how much like nice support it gets to constantly draw cards. That definitely matters for how good it's gonna be overall. But yeah, the body is pretty reasonable for the cost, and the ability is great if we can support it. Next we have another new legendary, Leave a Witness. This is basically harsh roll, except it costs 7 and triple justice, so you can definitely not splash it and have to be very heavy justice. And on top of it, for the 2 power and 1 justice extra, we get to mentor our best guy, and then that guy survives Leave a Witness. So it's basically kill everything except the one guy we don't want to die, which is arguably really powerful, and this looks like a prime card for something like, say, Big Hombre, because that takes away the potential tension that harsh roll sometimes has in the deck, and gives you a really nice power play to cement a big advantage. So could easily see that, say, Big Hombre maybe plays like 3 harsh roll and 2 Leave a Witness going forward, something like that. And there will probably be like other uses for this card. It's also nice in horror control, because you can play for harsh roll and some Leave a Witness to let an Enforcer or Throne Warden or something survive, for example, or Thunderstrike Dragon. There's a bunch of things this can do, and it allows something like a justice-based unit light control deck to play more sweepers and even protect one of the better units they play, because if they play a few units, they usually have some good, a few very good units. So yeah, this card is really nice, cool design, interesting, I like it, and it's also a potential constructed staple. Alright, next we have a really nice new one. People that played the game in closed beta might remember the name and the picture. Cloud Snake Harrier with this picture and this name, and just being blue. Used to be the name of the, what was the card? of the Abyssor, of the 4-power 3/3 flyer that costs time and primal, and puts a card back on the top of your deck and reduces the cost by 2. This was basically this card. So it's nice to see that they recycled the name and the picture for a different card. Because now Cloudsnake Harrier costs 3 and double primal, which is very reasonable because it's a fairly strong card. And for that we get a 3/3 flying, which is already pretty nice. I mean, we all know that. Like, this is basically Valkyrie Enforcer level. And yeah, we basically get spell damage. The Hearthstone ability of spell damage that makes all your spells deal 1 more damage. Something that people were speculating about at some point. Whether or not we're gonna see that in Eternal at some point, and there it is. And there is a nice synergy with this in Primal. Imagine Lightning Storm, although keep in mind Lightning Storm is gonna kill the Harrier as well then. And some other stuff like Lightning Strike being able to deal 5 can be a pretty big deal. Static Bolt becomes a lot better with this card. And there might also be like new cards where this does something, so that's definitely really nice. It's basically like a 3/3 flyer for 3 with upside. So definitely another nice constructed spoiler. We're slowly getting into the role of things and start to see more and more interesting cards for constructed, which is really cool because that's what we've all been waiting for. Next we have snowcrust 80, a really sweet 1-drop. So far we only had like this 1/1 Aegis for 1 Injustice, which was really bad, but this is a 2/1 for 1 Aegis, and kind of surprisingly in Primal, because I guess nobody really would have expected such an resilient, aggressive 1-drop in Primal of all colors. But I love the card. The card is great. Like, having a 1-drop that hits for 2 and is protected from cards like Varus Favor is great, and you can even like build on this guy, because 2/1 Aegis is just good enough to put into your deck and then start like piling weapons on it and stuff. And even without, like, it's just another good 1-drop and makes this like Skygreg aggro so much more likely, and is a really nice card to curve into the Cloudsnake Breeder, I think was the name, the 2/1 for double primal that gets you a 1/2 flyer Cloudsnake hatchling. So yeah, this is also gonna be a constructed staple, I think. I mean, it's not gonna be like an outstanding card that makes or breaks a deck, but it's gonna be a really great role player in aggressive primal decks. And maybe can even be interesting in less aggressive primal decks to fend off early aggression, because a 2/1 Aegis can reliably trade with opposing early drops and is hard for them to stop other than with combat tricks. Alright, next we have humbox Swarm, basically the time answer to assembly line. But for the 2-power extra we get flying on all the 3 tokens, so this is nice. It's also nice to see that there's reasonable spells coming for the so far very bad looking Praxis legendary that we just saw. And yeah, this looks like a potentially good Praxis token type card, because flying is always good to have like a way to break through if the ground locks up, and getting multiple units for 1 card is always good in a token type deck with obelisk and stuff. We'll have to see if this card is slightly too slow, too underpowered for like 3 1/1s for 5, or if there's enough context to make it really good. I could see both, that the card like only is like borderline playable, or that it's actually great. Depends a bit on the context, I think. But yeah, all in all, it's definitely a potentially decent role player card that is worth looking into once we have more of the picture. Next off we have Inquisitor Makto. Finally a nice multi-faction legendary. because most of the ones we've seen so far were kinda bad in my opinion, or situational because they were very expensive and clunky. And yeah, this guy is cool, like a 5/5 flyer for 5 is already a pretty decent deal. If you add in revenge, that's even better, especially against like slower matchups, grindier matchups, control type stuff. And then infinite revenge is even nicer, like the guy keeps coming back and back and back and back. Of course he can be silenced and then he never comes back ever, but a 5/5 for 5 with evasion alone is already a pretty decent deal, and the permanent revenge makes makto pretty decent. I mean, it's not a breakout card because we still just have a mostly vanilla evasive beater, but it's definitely a pretty solid card and a constructed power level card, which is what people have been waiting for. So yeah, I kinda like the card. We'll see how Argentport looks like, but this is a really nice like mid-range and aggressive card potentially for Argentport. Next we have the first modal cards for Eternal. There's apparently one for each of the new alliances, like Horu, Skycrack, Argentport, Xenon, and what did I miss? Praxis. We'll see if there's gonna be 10, like 5 more for the old faction pairs, because they don't have any modal cards yet. I would like to see 10, like 1 for each, kind of to like make up for the fact that there was no other half of this cycle in the first set, but we will see if that happens. And yeah, this one is a pretty nice one. 3 cost, it's reasonable, it's a little on the little higher side for these like interactive spells, but it's fine, especially because we get to kill like bigger stuff. So basically this either stops a big spell, like the high impact spells, mostly the spells that you want to stop anyway, or kills like a big guy. So this is basically a limited backlash or a limited vanquish, which put together and for 1 power more is actually a pretty great choice. Like Horror Control is gonna love that. Like I expect Horror Control to most likely play like 4 of these. The card's great. And it's also decent in other horror decks. Even though the kill an attacking enemy unit part, not so much, because say in a more aggressive deck you usually want to kill blockers, not attackers. But the fact that you get to put an answer to cards like Harsh Rule and Leave a Witness in your deck without it otherwise being completely blank, it's pretty nice, and this also looks pretty decent in say mid-range decks, for example. In aggro decks it's probably not gonna be good enough because it's too clunky and the second part just doesn't do enough. But yeah, I like the card, it's a cool card. Next we have another modal card. This is the Skycrack modal card, Caleb's Choice. We get to negate a single faction spell, so another take on Backlash with another restriction. Here it's not cost, here it's just color, so you basically cannot stop some of the newer flashy big multi-faction spells, but you can stop all the other stuff. You can stop Harsh Rolls, you can stop Leave a Witness, and big burn spells and a bunch of other stuff. So this still stops most of the relevant spells, especially right now. There's not a whole lot of multi-faction spells, and even in the new set there will probably only be so many that you care about stopping that you can't stop with this. And alternatively we get to kill a single faction attachment, which is great. That means we get to kill a bunch of relic weapons, unfortunately no Daisho, which was definitely relevant. We get to kill Azindel's Gift, which was a big deal. We also get to kill Obelisk or Vault of the Praxis. We get to kill Permafrost or some of the weapons like Runehammer, Warhammer. Warhammer? No, Hammer of Might. Hammer of Might is the card that I'm looking for. But like the most notable things this thing can't kill right now are basically plate and daisho, I would say. Not sure if there's anything else. It also can't kill the new mask, but don't expect this to be a problem because I think the mask's kind of bad. The Xenon mask, but who cares? Like, this card's great. Also 2 power, awesome. This is gonna be great in most decks that can support it. I love it. And last but not least, we have another rare. This is a Xenon rare, and I actually really love this card. A 3/3 for 4 is a bit underwhelming. It's like 1 below the curve, but the ability is actually really good. If there's enough ways to repeatedly trigger this card is potentially gonna be a real powerhouse. Because every time you gain health, all of your units get +1/+1 and that permanently. So she grows as well, so she basically grows to a proper size for her cost, so the ability very much makes up for the low stats for 4-drop. And yeah, it just looks like a potentially really powerful card. Can get out of hand quickly, make your board grow enormously, and give you a lot of like late game inevitability on the board. Really like the card. It's probably the best or one of the best Life Force cards so far, together with probably Beckoning Lumen. Yeah, it looks really powerful. Looking forward to seeing more Life Force cards, as in like cards that support Life Force, to get a better idea what to do with this card, because I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some deck around this card in the future. Alright, that's it again for this batch of spoiler reviews. I really like that they're cranking up the speed on spoiling cards now that we're getting closer to the release of set 2. We still don't have a date announced yet, I think, but it can't be too far out anymore till we get set 2. And I'm really excited because right now I feel kind of burned out. I mean, I've been pumped and excited brewing and working with set 1 for the longest time, but in the last couple of weeks I feel the burnout quite a lot. Like, I just lost a lot of motivation to play the game, and just because I feel bored to play the same decks over and over, and I kind of feel like I have everything like relevant figured out. I know that like Daedalus is the best ladder deck and there's not really a reason to play anything else, and there's also nothing like really interesting or really powerful to brew, and I don't know. There's just like a lot of drive and like incentive lost to play right now, which is also part of the reason why my last ladder finish was only like 40th place, unlike my usual top 20 or better, because I started late, didn't play that much, and just jammed a bunch of Daedalus at the end to get up when the climb was already fairly hard, because everybody was so close together and ranking, and everybody was trying to climb. Alright, that's it again for this time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out if you enjoyed this, and see you next time with more spoilers. Bye.